Florida is fantastic market, guys. You guys are in Florida. If you don't do this, you are sitting on a gold mine. Why? What I mean, because all the companies are moving here. Everybody is moving here. Everybody want to be in Florida. And you have great business advantages, tax advantages, entrepreneurs friendly. So businesses are flocking by the herds to Florida.
This episode brought to you by Suites at Madison. Meeting and conference rooms for rent by the hour, week, month, or year. Suites at Madison, where business gets done. Check them out at www.downtowntampaoffice.com. Now, on to the show.
You are listening to the Invest Florida Real Estate Show, covering topics in lending, buy and sell strategies, property management, hot markets, and tips and tools to guide you along the way on your path to real estate success. You want Florida investment real estate talk? You have come to the right place. And now, our hosts, Eric Odom and Steven Silverman.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Invest Florida Real Estate Show. This is your co-host, Eric Odom, along with Steven Silverman. Steven, it's our first guest since I tried to kill myself.
Since you
Actually, I shouldn't joke about that, right? I mean, I fell off a damn boat and I messed myself up. Listen to the last episode. That's why you've been gone.
Since you jumped ship.
Since I jumped ship. That's better.
And landed on with every part of your body that seemed to get broken. But we're glad to have you back, and you're back in your wheelchair, so wheeling and dealing, and we can do our podcasts again. Life is better now.
Yeah, every part of my body except my head, fortunately. I definitely broke a lot of things, and trying to just get back to somewhat normal. But I'm happy to have another guest.
I'm glad you referenced your head. There's probably a few screws loose somewhere, but
they're gone now. There's enough jarring. Anyway, it's this, like I said, this is our first guest since we took a little bit of a break. That's an involuntary break. Wanted to read a quick review that we had here from Aska Tuazan from Apple Podcasts. Says, I really enjoy listening to your podcast and continue expanding my knowledge. Thanks so much and keep up the great work. Hey, Aska, really appreciate you doing that and leaving us a review. And in fact, since we've been gone, I think absence makes the heart grow fonder, Stephen, because we got several more reviews in that period of time, which we will read with each coming episode. But it's good to see that our listeners are still listening, even though we're not having regular episodes.
So the other thing I just wanted to say, like one of the things that always warms our heart a little is the fact that people seem to listen from all over the world. Last week, we had a visit from our friend Izzet, who came in from Turkey, and we went out to dinner, and over the years, he's become a good friend. And Izzet, hope you had a good trip back, and it's always good to see you and glad that you're still listening.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, we do this show, and you think that no one's listening. Occasionally you get a review or whatnot. But, we go to conferences and events and people hear really more your voice than my voice, although I have a distinctive voice too. And we'll go, oh, that's the guys from the show. And it's funny because we do get a lot of compliments. We do like going out and speaking with people and meeting with our listeners. And it's a surprise, but we get people contacting us. We've had somebody in the past contact us from Greece, from Switzerland, from Germany, Canada, England. I'm still waiting on some of our Brazilian friends to we see you're listening. Just like to hear from you. I do speak Portuguese, so you can communicate with me. How is your Afrikaans, Stephen? Because we've not got anybody from South Africa.
Ja, ik kan nog die taal praten.
All right. All right, so, but your Turkish or your Arabic is non-existent, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We need Obid for that, but we've got it all covered. Stephen, we've got a unique guest today. He is going to talk to us about the short-term, really mid-term rental market, and this is about how you get into it without necessarily having a lot of cash equity to get involved and earn a cash flow. So is there anything we want to mention housekeeping-wise before we roll into our guest?
No, just wanted to remind people, please, to continue to give us reviews. They help us get more guests. We're back on the road again. And so please just give the reviews. It helps. And let's roll into it because it's going to be interesting. Today we have with us Dr. Chau Ong. He's an immigrant from Vietnam, and he came to America aspiring to live the American dream. He worked hard for 8 years and earned his MBA and doctorate in pharmacy. And he was well in his way to the American dream, and then he discovered the American dream was not what he thought it was going to be. He was determined to get financial freedom, so he explored a variety of businesses and opportunities. He had an epiphany one day and discovered a method called OPP, using other people's properties, to master lease and sublet out to companies. And that's how he achieved success. And after just 2 years in this business, he has been able to achieve time and financial freedom and retire in his early 30s. So Dr. Chau, welcome to the Invest Florida show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Dr. Chau, we really appreciate you taking the time to invest with us today. Why don't you give us a brief overview? I mean, it's a pretty compelling story. Vietnam, school in the United States, basically starting from nothing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So we came to America with absolutely nothing, guys. And what I mean by that, me, my dad, my mom, my sister sleep on one bedroom in the worst neighborhood possible. Imagine hearing gunshots. And then, we don't know really anybody except my uncle. We didn't speak any English. And so we're determined to achieve the American dream. So my mom and dad would slave away in the dry cleaners, 12 hours a day just to put food on the table. And I could see them, crying themselves to sleep and just cut and burn themselves each and every day just to help us alive. I was only 10 years old, so I was feel helpless. And I could remember see my mom cry, and I know that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to promise myself I would do whatever it takes, morally, ethically, legally, to be able to retire them, buy them a dream home, and live the American dream. So we thought the way to get the American dream is to go to school, get a good grade, become a doctor and lawyer. And that's exactly what I did. I became a doctor in pharmacy. I also got my MBA as well. 8 years of grueling medical MBA school, guys. Imagine that, and surviving off of ramen noodle, Little Caesar pizza, and dollar menu, right? For 8 years, living on the basement in the freezing cold of Utah. So fast forward, I graduated, I got a degree. Within my first year, I became the #1 pharmacy of the year for the district for a Fortune 10 company, right? And I thought I really made it. I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm going to take care of you guys. You don't have to worry about anything now. It's all good, right? To my surprise, what the corporation gave me was more KPIs, more work to do, less help, about the same amount of pay, like the regular bonus, like 2% bonus, doesn't even keep up with inflation. I was like, this is BS, man. I didn't work all my life, sacrifice everything, my mom and dad, life savings, to live in being a trapped corporate slave. So I was frustrated, I was burnt out, and I was like, I gotta find something. On top of everything, my mom, supposed to be retiring free and everything now, is diagnosed with cancer. So I was like, man, I gotta do something fast and really, really help her, because I don't know how much time she got. I don't know how much we can be together. So I then did all that I could to be able to take care of her. And I tried all kind of businesses, from Amazon to eBay to drop shipping to online, offline, MLM. I risked my life going around all over the states and put the roadway sign in, risking my life. So I basically done everything that I could. Like, all businesses took either a lot of time or a lot of money that I did not have. So what I do, I was like, how can I find a business where it doesn't take a lot of time or money? And that's when I had the epiphany of, what if I can just leverage other people's property instead of owning them, and therefore still making amazing cash flow, and I can scale this as fast as I can. And that's exactly what I did. Within a year, really, I got to 23 Airbnbs, corporate housing, got my financial freedom, and then the rest is just history. So the last 4 years, I've been living the life of my dreams. I retired my mom and dad like I promised them. She's 12 years cancer survivor, a thriver now, so that's awesome. And retired them, bought them the dream home. And then we have helped hundreds and hundreds of people, just like everyday people, just like you, to become financial independent. Financial freedom is what it's all about.
So tell us how that works. You're doing Airbnb corporate rentals. Tell us 30,000 foot view of how that's structured, because you say you're using other people's property. So why don't you tell us how that works?
Yeah. So basically, you just rent a vacant home, you furnish it, and then you sublet it out to companies. That's all you need to do. And that's basically a very simplified version of it, right? The concept is amazing because for one deal, for example, if you do a flip, right, it can cost you like, let's say, $200,000. Well, for $200,000, you can do about 15 of these arbitrage and make about 30K a month. In Florida, you make more. In Florida, you make like 3K per property. So in Florida, you can make like 40, 50K a month from doing that.
So could you give us an idea on a particular property? Like what would you rent it for, and then what would you be able to lease it for with Airbnb?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually I rent it for like 2,000 to 3,000. I would then sublet out to companies for about 5 to 6,000, maybe even 7,000 in Florida. So that's why you make 2,000-3,000 a month, right? Because the companies will pay because it's a lot cheaper for them than renting 5 hotels for 5 employees or 4 employees, right? They can just rent one home and they can save themselves like 50 to 70% of the cost.
How do you find the companies though? Because I mean, how do you make sure that you don't get stuck having a house that you've rented but that sits vacant?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I developed the mentorship program where I just give my 8 years of Rolodex of all my relationship resources. So that way my students get results right away, right? However, if you're doing this on your own, you can contact the human resource department of local, hospitals, companies, or whatever, and tell them you are doing this and build up your list that way as well. It's a harder role. It definitely take a lot longer, a lot of time, right? And that's why we have the mentorship program. But yeah.
So are there also corporate housing specialists that you might be able to go to that work with certain corporations that might be placing people around the country? Are there folks like that? Because I know there are certain profiles of companies that would tend to want to have a demand for corporate housing and other ones that would never use it. So I was just curious if there's people out there consolidating those corporate users of space, residential space.
Yes, they are. They are. Mm-hmm.
And so you're connected with those folks as well too.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you're helping some folks in Florida. I suppose you're still in Utah, correct?
I'm in Texas, but I have students all over the nation. Yeah.
Okay, so you have students all over the nation, and talk to us about like your experience with Florida. Is it more Airbnb? Is it more, which is really short term, ultra short term rental, where corporate is more like midterm, like a month at a time or 6 months at a time type of thing. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about Florida, what it looks like in Florida, and what's working for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So midterm, 1 month to 6 months is our niche. It's a lot better. I've done the short-term game. I've done the long-term game. Long-term game, there's no money. Short-term game, there's no freedom. There's no time, right? And short-term is so saturated. Short-term, I mean by like under 30 days vacation rental, right? And how many of you guys been, doing any vacation, hear all the vacation rental horror stories, right? A lot of it is true too, by the way. So super saturated, super regulated, and then you're catching like, how would you like to catch like 15 small fish? And why don't you just catch one big fish, right? So that's our whole model. So then we do the corporate housing. Yes, 1 month to 6 months. We rent out to companies. Florida is fantastic market, guys. You guys are in Florida, and if you don't do this, you are sitting on a gold mine. Why? What I mean, because all the companies are moving here. Everybody is moving here. Everybody want to be in Florida, right? And then you have great like business advantages, tax advantages, entrepreneurs friendly. So businesses are flocking and by the herds to Florida. Now, so I know my students, like prime example, one of my students, he migrated from Canada to Florida. Now he went into Florida to build up 5 properties within 30 days, and he made like 15K a month from it. And then he flew back home to enjoy his family in Canada for the winter Christmas time and stayed there for like 4 or 5 months while he's still making money over here, right? So yeah, Florida is a fantastic market.
Talk to us about what does it look like for the typical corporate user? What does that consumer look like? Is it someone who's doing auditing? Or are they setting up, they're establishing operations in the state? Or what is a typical Florida corporate resident looking like?
Yeah. So corporate, there's so many, like there's construction companies, right? They go in, they do a job and they get it done and get out. And then there's IT companies. There's also TV shows, media, that kind of thing. Then there's also travel medical professionals go in for a few months. And then last, my favorite is the insurance housing. How many people got flooded in Florida, right? Where do you think those families stay, right? So that is
Fort Lauderdale and Fort Myers. I mean, we had the hurricane and the flooding recently in Fort Lauderdale. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So insurance is obligated to pay up to 10% of your value of your home, which in Florida could be like 100K, of $1 million home. So, and most of the time they're not going to spend all of that, right? So that's why we're able to charge them 2 times the market rent, sometimes even up to 3 times the market rent.
Which is still cheaper than Airbnb, right? So this is why they would decide to go with you as opposed to just going on Airbnb or VRBO. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Well, it is cheaper than, like vacation rental for sure.
So what about on the supply side with the homeowners? Florida is a very tight market. So, I would imagine if you do find someone who wants to sell their home, they usually want a higher price. How do you go about, lease their home?
Yeah.
How do you even find these people?
Yeah. So it's all about in the pitch, right? It's all about what can you give them, how can make it a win-win for them. So, what most people out there don't understand is, what can I get? What can I get? How can I haggle it down? What can I get from these clients? No, right? We're going to be the best tenants they're ever going to have. What I mean by that, so instead of coming to you, let's say you're a landlord, Steve and Eric, instead of like, hey, can I Airbnb your property, man? Make some money and we all good, haggle your prices and all of that. No, we're going to be like, we are a corporate housing provider. We are very professional. We have hundreds of clients nationwide. We've done hundreds of deals. We have hundreds of partners. Here's our website. Here's our partner's website. And then we're going to be your best tenant. 1, we're going to clean it every few months. We're going to pay for it. 2, any maintenance under $200, we're going to pay for it. We're not even going to call you in the middle of the night, basically managing it for you. And then 3, we have corporate clients, so we can even sign a 2-3 years long lease instead of just you have to find a new one every year, and it's not reliable because these are companies, right? And then last but not least, and after all of that, has anybody offered you all these things? I'm going to ask them that, right? And they're probably going to say, no, nobody's going to offer you all the things unless they're like my students. So even if they say no to all of that, I'm going to pull out my ACE. My ACE call is, what if I can even pay you above market rent, like $200-300 above market rent? You see? I mean, it's a no-brainer, and that's why our students got so many properties they can't even handle it all, right? Because nobody is doing all these things for the landlord who are burnt out, frustrated, and worry about people who don't pay and stuff like that, right?
Where are you getting the furniture? Because people are coming in and it's furnished, it's just like an Airbnb. So how are you? Are you going to like staging companies, or you're going to furniture rental places, or how are you doing the staging?
Yeah, so there's a few options. It just depends on where you want to go. So we do have sources for the best deals for furnitures and the guidelines, checklists on how you can set it up within literally like 48 hours after you receive the key. So that way you make money right away. And then you can hire people to do most of the work for you so you don't have to. The other option you can do is have rental, like furniture rental place. And we do have connections with that too. And that will reduce the cost of the deal by a lot too. So your initial investment for this is first month rent, first month deposit plus furnitures. Usually run about 12K to 15K a deal, right? If you rent the furniture, that's about 7K off right there. So you're looking at like 5 to maybe 8K for one deal, and then you make 2-3K a month. So that means that in 3 to 6 months, you make your money back, right? Within a year, you about double or triple your money. I don't know what kind of return on investment you guys make on your money, but 200-300% is not too shabby.
You know, one of the problems with Airbnb is like often the neighborhoods will object. They'll have ordinances that they
Yeah,
don't want the short-term rentals.
exactly.
Do you get around that by saying that it's for corporate use and have less objections?
Right, correct. So a lot of short-term rental ordinances are less than 30 days. We are 30 days and longer. So by just doing that, we are escaping a lot of the regulations. Secondly, with the taxes, we are tax exempt. If anything over 30 days, a lot of them is tax exempt. You don't have to get charged like the hefty hotel tax that you have to pay, right? So, and then of course, before you go into any neighborhood, definitely do your research. And if it's not the right neighborhood, if it's not the right place, then just don't do it. It's so simple, right? There's like thousands of neighborhood out here in America that we can do this business with. And the beautiful thing about this, you are not buying the property, so you're not locked in. Even the worst case scenario, what's the worst case scenario? Like I listen to a lot of my mentors are multi-billionaires, like Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, and all those big guys. The number one thing when they look at any business is what is the risk, right? And looking at asymmetrical risk to reward ratio. So if you are able to risk one and make five more, all these billionaires trader will go into those that trade, right? What's the risk for this? You can just lose first month rent and first month deposit. That's it. You can still keep the furniture, right? The furniture is still yours. So maximum risk like what, 5, 6, 7K? What's the reward? The reward, you make 2, 3K a month, about 25 to 40K a year, right? If you do that just on average for 5 years, that's 150K. You're risking 5K to make 150K. That's like 30 to 1 return. You only need to get like one right out of 30 to break even. So it really is a no-brainer. Does that make sense? So, and then if you're looking at that side, if you compare it to any kind of traditional business or investment, with one flip, what if it go flop? You lose, you shut your whole thing, right? But with that one, you can do 10 or 15 of these arbitrage, spread your risk out 10, 15 ways. Even if you are wrong 2, 3 times, right? That's okay. It's all right. No worries, right? You still make a lot of money. So that's what I love about it.
You say that in Florida you have a couple of students that are working with you, and you talked about Fort Lauderdale and Fort Myers. I'm curious, is it more single-family home? It's more townhome? It's more apartment? What really works best?
Single family, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath is the sweet spots. Now, in tighter markets, you can do 3-bedroom, 2 bath. It's fine too.
Wow, I'm surprised it's so large. I mean, typically it's just 1 or 2 people. Oh, no, because it's family.
Well, it's family and companies. Like companies have employees, right? They fly in 4 employees to work on a project.
And so the family would be with them.
No, the family is not going to be with them with the employees. The family is for the insurance housing. It's totally different. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So with the corporate, would they put maybe 3 employees in one house, or do they typically like rent one house and put a corporate family in there?
Yeah, so they can do both. Some of the executives, like relocation and stuff like that, they can put the whole family there and trying to find a place for them to buy once they settle in, or they just rent it out for like 4 or 5 employees.
And so Florida, again, we talked about Fort Lauderdale because you've had flooding in South Florida. At Fort Myers, you had the hurricane last year, and obviously big demands. It was devastating with both these situations where people are displaced from their homes. It's going to take months to try to rebuild. Are there any other areas, like let's talk Orlando and Tampa. Orlando and Tampa are more your traditional business markets. Are those still strong, or is it more sort of the destruction that really drives the markets for this type of thing?
Yeah, no, Tampa is super strong. Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, all of them are strong. Yeah.
And so in Tampa, you're not getting so much insurance. Would it be more medical related, or is there other just corporate relocations, or what's happening in Tampa?
Yeah, so corporate relocation. Tampa is booming, right? Anywhere you got growth, you got people coming in, you got companies coming in. Those people need housing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the things we've experienced in the investment side of the market here in Florida is, first of all, COVID had a big impact. Florida is not a high-rise community. It's a single family home. It's a low rise
Right.
community, which allowed people to get out. And so that's been a driver. And then of course, Florida is also a no tax state.
Yep.
So we have both of those types of drivers right now. It's really still pretty insane, even with the interest rates situation here. So we experience it. I mean, we see it, what's going on, and yeah, it's slowing a little bit, but it's still pretty darn hot.
Still one of the best market in America. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you ever make it out here, Dr. Chau?
Yeah, I go out there like a lot, man. Like probably once a month, I hang out with, one of my mentors, Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone, and they are both out there. So yeah.
Where is Tony Robbins now? Is he in down in South Florida?
He's in West Palm.
He's West Palm. I thought he was in South Florida. Yeah. Awesome. Stephen, any other questions before we let the Dr. Chau
so
go?
I was, one of the structural problems we have here in Florida is it's such a tight housing market. And, interest rates are, what do you find, who are the people that really want to go out and rent their houses? Are they people who bought them for investments, or are they people who want to move? I'm just curious who the typical renter would be that would want to rent to you.
Oh, like the landlord?
Yeah, the
Yes.
landlord. Yep.
Yeah. So if you guys are landlord, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So if I came to you with the pitch that I did, I'm going to clean your house every few months. Any maintenance under $200, I'm going to pay for it. You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to do everything I can before I even call you. So I'm managing it for you. Number 3, I have corporate clients. Number 4, I sign a 3-year lease for you, fixing the price for you. Number 5, I pay above market rent. Does that sound good enough for you? And is any tenants ever offer you guys that? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you would take that deal.
Certainly compelling. The part that's always a little fearful is like, okay, so you now have a 3-year lease. You better go out and find a corporate tenant for that. So that's probably the scary part for most people.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, I don't tell them this, but the risk for us with the 1 year or 3 years is the same, right? Because the worst case, if it doesn't work out, hey, I'm so sorry. You can have the deposit. Maybe I pay you another month rent, but it doesn't work out. And then what's the landlord going to do? The landlord going to be like, oh, thank God this guy actually like pay me and let me keep the deposit and actually get out instead of squatting for my place for like 3 to 6 months. Yeah, get out. That's fine.
Yeah, it's interesting because that scenario with risk is different for us when we're working with commercial properties where they're like literally locked in and sign a guarantee for 6 months. You're not signing any guarantees.
Yeah, but the reality, Stephen, even with the commercial side, if somebody's coming to us in good faith and helping to get out of the lease, we're going to work with them. That's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. That's the reality. Yeah, there's nothing we can do. I mean, there's a landlord,
Yeah. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about how folks, they want to learn a little bit more, Dr. Chau, how they would get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you go to beyondbnbsecrets.com. beyondbnbsecrets.com. You opt in and you get my blueprints on how to do this. You're also able to book a 1-hour consultation call with our top advisor and really map our game plan, where you guys are at, where you guys want to go, and customize a game plan for you so you can get freedom. I'm talking about 3 to 6 months from now, you guys can be making 10, 20K a month, almost passive income. So you can get not only money freedom, but time freedom, location freedom, relationship freedom. We have students traveling all over the world and have this business basically on automatic, just managing it here and there, and make amazing money from it, make as much money as any surgeon make, and enjoying their time and lifestyle with their family. So that's what I'm talking about. And then you can also follow me on social media at Dr. Chau BNB. That's DrChauBNB. That's it. There's no dot, there's no exclamation, all the other one are fake accounts, okay? So those you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and then Facebook is Chau Ong, ChauOng. Yeah.
And when we got started, you told us you wanted to tell us a motivational story here at the end. So why don't we do that before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I do that, I want to give you guys a gift about finding the right location, right? Because the most important thing in real estate is what?
Location. Yeah.
What if I can share with you a secret sauce that took me 10 years in the real estate market to figure out, and then you can implement it within minutes and find the right location within minutes and have about a 90% success rate. Would you guys like that?
Of course.
Okay. So it's called the 3 H's rule. Okay. Highways, hospitals, and hotels. Okay. So when two highways meet, cross, all of the traffic flow is there. The government spent billions of dollars to build these highways. They know exactly where the best spots are, right? So where traffic flow, money flow. Now, in one of these four piece of pie of the highway, when the two highway cross, there's four sections. One of those sections, for whatever reason, the hotels and hospital love to congregate together in that one section. Why? I don't care. I'm just following the whales, right? If they drop $100 million into a resort, a hospital, don't you think they've done their research?
Yeah, of course.
There you go. So follow the whales, you get fed. Just find the right property within about 10 minutes driving distance of all these hotels and hospital close to two big highway intersection. You're going to get a pretty good chance that it's going to be the right one for you. And remember, you only need to be right 1 hour, 20, 30 times to break even. So, but with this method, you should be right about 80% of the time. And with our help, with our mentorship and guidance, you're probably going to be right like 99% of the time. We even guarantee that if you be a mentee with us, and you follow us, and then you do exactly what we tell you to do, and you don't get booking after 30 days, we're gonna pay you that first month rent. So you can just get out of that lease and minimize your risk like it's no brainer. Like nobody else is doing that. That's why it's such an amazing deal, right? So, is that good, guys? You guys like that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna end with a story with my mom, and I believe it's gonna help a lot of people. I'm the underdog immigrant millionaire, right? So picture a day when I'm able to take my mom and dad to their favorite resort, overlooking the most beautiful ocean beach. We hear the birds chirping. We have the professional photographer take pictures for us. I have an amazing dinner, amazing time together. And she looked me straight in the eyes afterward with tears in her eyes and said, "Son, thank you so much. Thank you so much for overcoming your fear, taking that leap of faith back in years ago when I was the one that trying to stop you, but you didn't listen to me, thank God. And you do whatever it takes and took the action and commit to your dreams. So now you're able to retire me and my husband. And I'm a cancer survivor because of you, because you're able to take care of me time and money-wise. So thank you so much, son. I love you so much. God bless you. And I love you." So whatever is that dream for you, whatever that beautiful, amazing day, what does that look like? You want to paint that picture so vividly, close your eyes and imagine it every single morning, every single night, right? And imagine as if you're already living that dream right now. Picture that day for you and your family. If all this did is to provide this for you, would it be worth it, right? You got to ask yourself that. And decide, guys. Make a decision. Decide. Decide means to cut off something, right? Sacrificing something. Sacrifices meaning sacrifice something small for something greater value. That's all that sacrifice mean, which is a great thing, right? So cut off all the negativity, all the stuff, all the naysayers, all the whatever that you're doing with your time, and focus on this. It's only going to take a few hours a week. That's it. And then you're going to make 10, 20K a month very, very fast, guys. Very, very fast. I have students who make that in a few months. Easy, right? While working a full-time job. But now they make that money. Now they don't have to work a full-time job anymore. They can literally managing this, traveling the world, and just a few minutes here, a few minutes there. So that's what I got for you guys. Hold on to your dream. Never give up. Take massive action. Decide. Get a mentor, whether it's me, whoever. Always have a mentor and have a community so that way you can plug in and play. And then leverage, guys. Leverage. Much love. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, Dr. Chau.
Thank you, Dr. Chau. That was very inspiring.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys.
And that was Dr. Chau Ong talking about the really midterm, not really vacation rental, but it is a sublease market. Stephen, I thought it was fascinating. Certainly an opportunity for investors to get into the market and earn cash flow without the big equity down. What were your thoughts about listening to the good doctor?
Well, first of all, I thought Dr. Chau was a remarkable person because he went to all that effort to get his doctorate and found that he was just on a treadmill and looked for ways to do something different. And everybody wants to be in real estate, but the truth of the matter is it's hard to get into it for a lot of people because of the capital and the risk that you got to take. He found a way that people can benefit and be profitable from real estate without the huge capital investment. And my hat's off to him that he's doing it, and people are making really good livings.
Yeah, and I mean, a market like Florida is really suited for exactly what he's discussing. He talked about the floods down in Fort Lauderdale, and the insurance companies are in need of housing for folks that have been flooded out of their homes. The same thing in Fort Myers and around Lee County. Of course, we're at the end of the necessity for that on that market for in terms of a lot of the hurricane damage has been repaired. Building new homes, so there's still some demand there, but I would think that it's diminishing at this point. But certainly Fort Lauderdale is not, and still demand there. But we get these weather incidences all the time, and as well as the transient work that's coming down to set up offices or auditing or whatever else that necessity might be. In Tampa, it's military. I did a lot of this type of rental when I had my condo over on Harbor Island that I was renting out to military officers that were really coming in from all over the world, trying to work with the intelligence wing at MacDill Air Force Base. So we know it's a good market. And, he gives you some ideas about where to go for that. Schools, military, where to find it. You go around, look where the hotels are, because you're kind of competing for that hotel market, the more long-term hotel market. Folks are going to be there for, 4, 5, 6 months at a time.
Yeah. So for people who are dying to be in real estate, here's an opportunity if you couldn't get into it before for financial reasons.
Absolutely. Stephen, we really appreciate the good doctor of joining us on the show. Where else can our listeners go find similar guests that could juice knowledge for their real estate profession?
So the place to go is our website, www.investfloridashow.com. You'll find a whole library of information, and don't forget to download the app. Listen while you're on the road or in the gym and pick up some interesting information.
Guys, as always, we appreciate the time that you invest with us each and every episode. And this is Eric Odom signing off. Good to be alive and good to be back. Until next time, hasta la vista.
You've just listened to the Invest Florida podcast with Eric Odom and Stephen Silverman. Join us every week for actionable real estate investment ideas, and of course, visit our website at www.investfloridashow.com for more shows and tips on how to earn a cash flow in the real estate market in Florida. While hosts and producers of the Invest Florida show have no reason to doubt the validity of comments of our guests, we do not warranty their accuracy. Please check with your legal, financial, and tax advisors before entering into any investment. Returns will vary from person to person and deal to deal based on unique circumstances. All information expressed in this show is for educational purposes only. Opinions of the guests are not necessarily shared by the hosts and producers of the Invest Florida show.